got five stories to tell. I see both sides like Chanel. See on both.
Hey guys, and welcome to a new industry leader interview. I'm very happy to be sitting here today with Carol Ann Reid. It's going to be you're going to see in a minute, you're going to realise what this interview is all about. It's about positivity, it's about happiness, it's about inspiration, it's about really creating a positive mindset in order to achieve what you want to achieve. And that's what Carol really does specify. It's all about happiness. She's an NLP practitioner. She's a co-founder of Snapp Happy, so even has happy in her brand. And it's all about positivity, happiness, and just bringing happiness to one's life in order to achieve what they want to achieve. And you're also a transformational coach to actually not just give them the content, but actually help you achieve what you want to achieve and be happy. So this is Carol Ann Reid. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you for having us. Very exciting.
It is exciting, absolutely. I've been wanting to do this for a while because I got to know Carol through the Elite Network, a monthly meetup I go to, and I've been wanting to sit down and have an interview and just pick your brains, just like everyone I meet there. I just love to sit down and just pick their brains and learn from them. So this is really going to be an interesting interview. So I like to start, this is something that I've learned from another interviewer, is my first question now is, who is Carol Ann Reid? But you've got to explain your life story in 30 seconds. And I know that sounds crazy.
Wow.
But it allows them to understand. So try and explain your life story in 30 seconds.
So my life story is always being an absolute lover of people and life. And background in performing arts, did a lot of traveling around the world, went through some really tough times personally, lost some people, lost myself, and it was through that I then found coaching and created what is now Snapp Happy, completely transformed my mind and life, and now I help others to do the same.
Absolutely. See, short and sweet. People have been doing that really well, actually. I thought people were trying. You did that really well.
Thanks.
It's interesting. It just allows them to really understand who they're speaking to. And I think it really does show why you created Snapp Happy, because you are so positive and you have that. You wanted to bring happiness going through hardships, and you want to bring that happiness to people, to help people through those rough patches. Okay, so going on to Snapp Happy, so it's going to be structured quite interestingly. So we're going to understand what Snapp Happy is, what encouraged you to create it, and then we'll dive deeper into sort of the mindset, understanding the brain with happiness, and creating maybe habits to actually induce happiness. So with Snapp Happy first, what encouraged you to create Snapp Happy then? What?
So behind Snapp Happy, again, like I've sort of just said then, it was very much through my personal kind of struggles, hardships. I lost I don't mind saying this, it isn't, but I lost my stepdad to suicide, and then my best friend to terminal cancer within 18 months.
Wow.
So it was pretty daunting, and it's a real realization of how you handle things when it's out of your control. Both of those two things I couldn't physically control, unfortunately. And then it was from there, it was like, well, I've got two choices. It was a real good talk to myself. Two choices. I either go down with them or I pick myself up, move forward, and I felt empowered that I have a choice. They didn't have a choice at the end of the day. So it was sort of from there that I then became, I'm going to say, healthily obsessed with what goes on in our mind. How do people get to such a place, no matter if it's of complete utopia, which is like one extreme, to self-harm or hurting yourself, or being in so much pain that you want to not be here. And at the end of the day, I figured that it all comes down to what we say to ourselves. It's all down to what's in the mind. And then through sort of reaching out to different people myself, I then came across CBT therapy. Came across one technique that changed my life overnight. It was mental. Realised a lot about myself, self-talk, and that was it. And then I met my the fellow co-founder of Snapp Happy. She had a very, very similar vision. And it was like the idea was born. And it was like, okay, there must be other people out there other than just myself, people I know that are going through a lot of trouble internally, who we could go out and help.
No, I think that's amazing how you've taken your experiences and then created it into that passionate business. And I think that self-talk, it's crazy the more aware I come of myself, how much we're directed by it. It really is quite a scary process. and we'll dive into that a bit more later in the interview. So what is your, I guess you explained your vision is you just want to impart those experiences and help people understand their self-talk. Is that your vision, is just to allow people to become more self-aware and get through that self-talk to understand it's normal and that you can break it, it's not a way of life?
Yeah, absolutely. And to become empowered personally. I think this day and age, especially now in the whole millennial mindset, as we call it, it's all about external validation, wanting to be the next big hit, comparison, everything seems to be external energy, and it's draining us from checking in internally. How are we? If it's all about our looks, what we're wearing, how do we feel, we're almost losing ourselves in that. So it's helping people to, one, become aware, and then two, recognize that they have a choice. Really, really, really just come down to that choice. If you're not happy where you are, choose to think differently, choose to take action, choose to go on to the next stage of your life, shut that chapter if it ain't working for you, and then move forward. And I just think that there's a hell of a lot of people out there who have minds like you and I, like everyone else, who could do with that little self-transformation.
Absolutely, I think it's understanding how to change that mindset, because obviously when you're in that negative state of mind, it almost feels like you'll never get out of it, even though people looking at it, you will get out of this, whether it's a week, a month, whatever it is, but it's very hard to have that open mind, I think, to there being a way out.
It feels like at that moment in time that this is life, and I think especially for the younger generation, they don't have the life experience that we have to go, well, actually it isn't the end of the world, and you've almost got greater catastrophes to compare what it is you're going through, whereas the slightly younger generation that are maybe struggling more now than ever don't have that kind of life experience. But even at our age and older, we do have the life experience, and I mean, you just turn on the news and you can see that there's a hell of a lot of people out there that are worse off than us. But in that moment, you feel maybe trapped, or that this is it. But it's not.
It's not.
It's not. And that's the realization, and it's owning that.
So do you think, because I know you mentioned about comparing to other situations, do you think that's a big part about getting out of it, then going, right, I've been in this place before, this A, B and C happened, this is how I got it. Do you think it's really good to compare it to...
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's one thing, kind of recognizing that you do have that choice and the power when you don't feel like you do. It's, I hate the term victim mindset, but it's easy to fall into it. It's 100%. Comfortable. It's almost like a big blanket when you can point your finger at other people or blame an event. I mean, an event can't come back to you and go, well, actually, I think you find that this happened. So we're often passing it out, but the moment that we can hold on to it and take ownership, that's empowering. That's kind of the key. And looking back maybe in past situations, you can almost go, okay, so that happened, how can I learn from that? What struggle did I go through then? What's my strength? How can I bring this forward to take myself forward? So
yeah, definitely. I think that when you're in that moment, you just need to revisit it when you've got a bit more of a calm mindset. Just revisiting it with a calm mindset, comparing what you've done. Like you said, learn from it. Don't just see it as a negative, bold.
Why me? That kind of thing.
Don't see it as I hate the world. Learn from it, and obviously try strengthen your position for it not to happen again.
Absolutely. I see it as like, to really make the change and move forward, you need to almost invest in your own toolkit, I call it. And it's completely invisible. Like, mine's in front of me right now if I need be. But in that toolkit, you've got all the different strategies and techniques and self-help tools. And if you really to want help and make a change, it is just down to the individual. So I could say, here's £1 million, and be like, yes, that's not going to change you internally. No. You're still going to have the same self-talk, and it's like a record. Until we change that record, you'd no doubt, whatever your pattern is already with money, you'd no doubt fall into that pattern. And then if yours is, why me? It never happens to me. You suddenly get £1 million. You'd be like, oh, get rid of it quick. Oh, it's happened again. So it's changing that story and looking into your toolkit and kind of going, I could use that, pulling it out.
That's interesting. And so if people were wanting to make change, then what would be your sort of 3 fire tips to help people make change? Is it, because I know what you were speaking about then, it comes down to the individual. would you say that's about changing one thing at a time? Is it how would you make change? Was it focus on one habit? What sort of the main things you'd focus on when trying to make change in life?
It would be, for me, is recognizing where you are. So step number one would be recognizing where you are today. Not where you were yesterday, not where you might be tomorrow, but recognizing where you are today and taking ownership for that.
Right, okay.
It's just an accumulation of tiny, tiny choices that have got you to where you are. Recognize where you are. Are you comfortable? Are you uncomfortable? And then step, because that sounds so simple, right? And that is step one. Own it. Own where you are. And then step two would be, where do you want to be? So if you want that change, what do you want to change? Like if it's have more happiness, what's happiness?
That's a good,
Like what's it mean to you? What it doesn't, I mean, some people are like, well, I want a big fast car, or I want to own this house, or I want to be turning over $1 million. Like, that's great. But what does that look like? What does that feel like? Have that vision. And I'm not saying go after the big cars at all, if anything. But what's underneath that? What person do you need to be sat in that car? What person do you need to be owning that house? Person do you need to be at the front of the events in your business, that kind of thing. So the second step I'd say for change would be, who do you want to change into, or what would change look like? Recognize and own that it's possible. Yeah. And then step 3, it's kind of like looking for what's in the middle. It's going to be action. Yeah. Like, you could have a rocket up your butt. It's only going to blow up if you stand still, but you've got to run for it. You've got to take the action. You've got to have a bit of a detailed breakdown, ideally working it backwards. Yeah. So it doesn't seem like Mount Everest in front of you. But so I'd say recognize where you are for change. Recognize where you are. Recognize where you want to be and who you want to be. That's the key thing. And then the third step would be what comes in between, and then breaking that down to, you only have today. So you only have tomorrow, and then the next day, and then it's just making that happen. And before you know it, celebrate the wins along the way. Before you know it, you've got change.
100%. I think it's what you really key. You said there was, don't just say, oh, I want flashy cars, I want this, because they're very easy to write on a piece of paper.
Looks cool on your vision board. And
it's easy to see and visualise, but it's really define what the happiness. So what do I look like? What's underneath that? And no doubt a lot of the time you'll realise that's going to take a lot of work. I don't fancy doing all of that time, because I'm just going to get stressed. I don't like my job, whatever. I'm going to have to find something else. So I think it will give you a lot of reality checks. So I think that's
who do I need to be sat in the Range Rover? Because if we were to get put in it today, for instance, if someone's watching, then are you that person? Have you got that mindset? Have you got that self-belief? Have you got the strategies in place to maintain it? If not, that's okay. You've got tomorrow to work on that, today to work on that, and then it's recognising it, definitely.
Recognise it, interesting. And to make the change and do that detail, those 3 steps that you mentioned, do you need, and this might sound like a very silly question, but it's something interesting, is do you need a willingness? Do you have to have a why in order to do it? Do you have to be 100% like, I'm doing this?
100%,
You have to be, right, okay.
I believe, in my experience,
you have to have a serious willingness. Because I think that's where I find and a lot of people fail, is that they'll have this and they'll put the time to detail it, but they'll be full efficiency for 3 weeks and then it just fizzles out. Yeah. And was that because they weren't smart about it? Or was that because they don't have the why? I guess it could be 100 different things.
It's almost got to be bigger than you.
Yeah.
So if you can, obviously it depends on the change which you want to see, or the goal, if we're sort of discussing more around the goals. But in terms of willingness, like, I want to move my glasses that are there now. It's going to take X amount of steps for me to just move that, even though it's only something small. But it's got to take a thought that's then going to trigger a decision, that's then going to take an action. Technically, not much, but it burns a bit of energy to do so. Then what do you do once you've got hold of it? Do you put it to use? Do I put it on top of my head like I usually do, and then can't see properly? And then do you keep them on? So there's the whole step process, and it only takes one of them, one of that section to kind of fall through and it goes.
Yeah.
The willingness is gone. And I think when it comes down to the why, I think why power is way more important than any like willpower to get up and do something. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, I can agree with that. It's just it's almost, do you feel like someone, because I feel like a lot of whys can be down to a lot of hardship. It can be down to going through hardship. Do you feel like sometimes you almost need that hardship in order to put a rocket up your ass and just absolutely... I think it definitely helps, but It
helps, but also at the same time, I kind of want to say a lot of people wait until they've experienced a certain amount of pain to use that as a springboard to come up because they've seen other people do that.
Yeah.
And I'm one of those people. I had to experience like pretty horrendous pain in my personal situation to literally have to like leave town and then make me move abroad. It was like that extreme. Now I had all the telltale signs along the way that this wasn't a good path to be going down. In fact, it was dangerous. But I had to wait until the extreme pain hit to be like, shit, I need to get out of here.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say, in a way, yes. I call it mortality motivation. Like you either have to, and then again, the loss of someone made me go, oh my God, but why, when that person was still here, could I not go, oh my God, I want to help people? So it is that thing of, it helps because it's fact. It almost gives you that wake up call. It's like if someone nearly falls off a building, you're, the epiphany, I need to live for today. It happens. It's natural. I think it's a bodily human instinct. But in terms of, for anyone listening, if you could almost imagine if that was to happen. I think that would be such a cool thing to do. It's like almost like imagine worst case scenario. How would I feel? What would happen? Because we don't know when our time's up. We really, really don't. So imagine that, okay, now what can I do to not only avoid that, but what can I do to make that change today instead of hitting rock bottom and then having to bounce back up again? Because you'd be well stronger.
Yeah, 100%.
Technically, you can think clearer. You've not got the haze. It's that every day is the opportunity to do it.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think if people can understand how they can really put a rocket up the arse without having the hardship, I think it's a game changer because I think there's too many times where experience can mentor people and they can say, trust me, you just go down this route, and they can give you all the experience and everything, but sometimes they just have to fail for it to happen. And I do it, and I see people.
I've done it. Absolutely.
It's kind of like, it's almost like human nature. We just have to do it. It's a strange one, but obviously the person who knows, it's really annoying because it's like, trust me, this way will get you to this part. So I don't know. It's just a weird thing as humans do. I think it's quite fascinating to try understand. So, what daily habits would you recommend to try help this? To help this change, then would there be daily habits?
Yes, absolutely. We are creatures of habits. So if we don't implement positive, structured choice habits, if you like, natural instinct habits will take over, such as always wanting to eat. We are beings that used to have to go out and hunt. Now we've got access to food 24/7. A lot of people create habits around eating, overeating, for instance. That's just like one example. Whereas if you take ownership and create habits, then the habits that I would recommend would morning habit. We were talking about this off camera before, weren't we? For me, morning habits are just the foundations to a successful day, a happy life, everything. Yeah. Because one, you're kind of flexing that muscle of, I'm in charge today. I'm in charge of my mind. I'm going to take action and be who I desire to be, rather than just kind of letting the subconscious mind take place that just wants to sit, eat donuts and watch Netflix. Do you know what I mean? So I would say starting with gratitudes. Every single day, the moment your eyes wake up, gratitude. Right. If you're above ground, if your feet are above ground, it's a freaking good day, and just be grateful for that. Even if you can't think of anything else, like just start with the gratitudes. Then I'm going to say like affirmations. So because we have like 50 to 75,000 thoughts per day. That's crazy. 80% of those are said to be negative, and around 90% of those are habitual. So unless we interrupt them and reprogram the brain with affirmations and things like that, it's just going to stay on the negative loop. So I would definitely say gratitudes, affirmations, exercise.
Yeah.
Get the endorphins going, even if it's only 20 minutes a day, something, just be active. And they're really simple. They're so simple. Eat well.
Yeah.
Our brain's a muscle. It needs fueling. So the more sugar and crap and everything that's part of our filter system. So every experience, every thought, every emotion, every feeling, it filters through our body. And we've got enough crap that we've brought through from the past, our thinking, our everything, that adds chemicals and sugars and stuff like that in the mix. It's pretty nasty.
Yeah.
So it's just looking after, in the most simple way, our being.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I can really vouch for the excited. Whenever I stop running, it makes such a huge effect on how productive I am, the time I get up later, I don't work as long. When I run, I feel so much more focused. It's unbelievable.
It's insane, isn't
it?
it?
Ridiculous
it's
difference.
a chemical change in the brain.
Yeah.
It's like a firework of endorphins that's right. And if you think about it, when we were cavemen and women, we used to have to sprint.
Yeah.
Majority of the day. They actually say to have a 60-second sprint each day, it releases any pent up anger and gives you a good boost of endorphins and everything. It's what's within us. So when we're sat at a desk all day, it's just there. So as soon as you get in the car, it's road rage. It's arguments. It's released in other ways.
No, interesting. And something I haven't asked someone before, because I tend to go into habits a lot, because I recently read the book Charles Duhigg, The Power of Habit.
Oh, I've not seen that.
I really would recommend it. It's really fascinating. It explains
fantastic.
how the habit's created, how our brain changes and everything. And obviously the more it becomes a habit, the more almost robotic it becomes. The brain thinks less. And what scares me about that is I think getting routines in the morning, I think is fantastic. I think it really does get your mind switched on. But the only thing that scares me is that routine to rut. And I guess if it's getting you ready for the morning, it's always a good thing. But is there a time where you've kind of got every quarter you should change the morning routine a little bit? Or is it bad that it becomes a routine / rut, or am I...
I think as long as it's a positive routine and it's serving you, it's a good thing.
Right.
I think it's very, very, very much down to sort of the individual. But in terms of actually forming the habit, as you'll no doubt know from reading the book, is that we only form habits to reserve energy. So either way, if we're not doing it if we're not forming good habits, and we're kind of worried about falling into a rut, and well, what if I get bored? Okay, well, we're either going to purposefully change the habit so that we keep it exciting, or we're going to drop that habit and something easier is just going to naturally take its place that might not be as productive or positive. So either way, everything that we do is a habit.
Yeah, 100%,
But it's kind of, I'm going to say, I think if you feel as if you're going into the rut, then you've just kind of, it's a good thing. Actually, it means that it's kind of stuck, but it's keeping it exciting then. So it'd be adding different smells, like incense to your morning, or trying, if you meditate and in a different place, or running a different loop, or do you know what I mean? It'd just be kind of changing it up a little bit, changing your affirmations. Those are the positive habits that I massively believe in. So you can always change them up a little bit, but I'd say if it becomes a feeling of a bit of a rut and it's a positive thing and it is serving you, it's kind of a good thing.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
I'm going to say.
Yeah, no, I agree. And maybe it is just that little thing, run a different route, meditate, just add a little bit of a spark.
Change your playlist, put some different music on.
Just make it a bit more interesting.
Spice it up.
No, I completely agree. Interesting. So I'm going to be wrapping it up shortly. It's just, I want to sort of get your quick tips on these two questions. First of all, negative speak. I know you spoke about that. Do you have a method to dealing with the negative talk? I know we do have the bands here, so I guess that's probably the best way to explain it, actually.
Yeah. I'm going to say definitely with, I mean, it was the form of CBT therapy based around the elastic band technique.
Yeah.
So it being that if you catch yourself having the negative self-talk, the feeling of worry or anxiety, sometimes you can't always recognize what it is. It's just more down to a feeling.
Yeah.
We've created something called the Stop, Snap, Smile technique. So when you catch yourself having the negative thought or the worry, the anxiety, you simply stop, snap your band, and then replace it with something positive, an affirmation, an image from when you were on holiday, something that changes your focus. It is all that whole, where you focus, energy flows. Where focus goes, energy flows.
Yeah.
It's almost like something that you've heard like a million times maybe. But it's true.
It's so true.
It is so true. So yeah, we've just done the Stop, Snap, Smile. And the first step, like I said right at the beginning, is recognizing it. First step, recognize. Step, stop, snap it. And that actually breaks the neural connection. It kind of disrupts it.
Interesting.
And then when you begin to replace it, it changes it from the prefrontal cortex on the right side, that's kind of the homing ground for the habits and more sort of negativity. And then by choosing to replace it, you're actually sending signals over to the left side, which is your prefrontal cortex, that's the homing ground for the positivity and and that's where you can begin to strengthen it, and over time that can become your habitual way of thinking.
Oh, yeah, I think it's amazing what it does, because but I've only been able to just because I've become more self-aware from going to meetups.
Yes.
So my worry is that a lot of people that don't go to meetups, they're not aware, because I was so unaware. Yeah. And I think I still am very unaware of a lot of things that I do, but I've become a lot. I notice a lot more now just from going to more personal development. So I would really recommend to get one of these. Where is it? Snap?
Yeah, Snapp Happy website. I can pop the
I'll put all the description down below.
Yeah.
Everything. No, absolutely. I've worn it for I don't know, like nearly 8 months now.
Yeah.
Something since the first time you spoke, actually.
No way.
Yeah, but like a week later.
Well, we've got loads of different colours now, and we do them for children and adults.
Nice.
Because I think anyone who's got a mind from time to time may suffer from negative habitual self-talk.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to wrap up, what are your pillars of happiness then? What is your words of wisdom to make for someone to live a happy life? I know everyone's definition of happiness is going to be different.
Yes.
And I'm not saying what they need to achieve, but are there just a few pillars to happiness you think will universally keep people happy? What would your
Well, you just kind of said one of the first ones. I'm going to say that the like foundation structure in the centre would be define what happiness is to you.
Right.
Like everyone, like you said, everyone's different, and that's okay. So say like, well, everyone's different, but what does it mean to you?
Yeah.
And then I would definitely say I've always had this thing that gratitude is medicine for the mind. Like I would definitely say being grateful. If you miss your bus and you're late for a meeting, at least you have the £2.50 it's going to cost to get the bus. There's always got to be something behind it. And I think by having that, it's like a superpower. If you can find gratitude in the shit, sometimes it can massively serve you. The other thing would be to check out and check in more. So stop checking out how everyone else is and what's everyone else doing and why is that happen like that, and actually stop, give yourself some R&R time and tune in and listen, like what's my body telling me? Is it
interesting?
It's always got a message, like either the mind or the body, and make time for you. I'm going to say this day and age, definitely the pillars of happiness is make time for you, that bit of self-love.
I completely agree. Yeah, and again, I've only become more aware of those things through going to meetups, and it really is quite interesting, because I'll speak to a lot of entrepreneurs and they're doing amazing what they do, but they're putting an unbelievable amount of hours, and it's no
they're grinding.
It's grind, it's the big hustle.
You're grinding yourself down.
That's the thing. And
it's got to be a balance.
What scares me is that when you say to them, you've got to look after yourself, they kind of laugh at it, because they're like, it's all about the grind.
100%.
But I've been through that grind, and then that turmoil of coming down and struggling with things, and I just know they're going to go through it, and I'm just like, please. But I just know some of them will just have to go through it. And
absolutely. I still do that, because I run a couple of businesses, and for me, I still have to stop and check in and just be like, okay, whoa, what's in the diary? and actually just kind of be like, okay, like that isn't going to serve me. And it's like the old Oprah thing, you can't pour from an empty cup. You have to fill yourself up to be able to help
100%.
others.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Absolutely.
I totally agree.
Absolutely. No, is there anything you want to tell the community about you, what you're up to right now with Snapp Happy or anything? I know you've got a lot of interesting ventures coming out.
So with Snapp Happy, we actually now do something called the Positivity Practitioner program, which is where we help individuals, teachers, coaches, and it's like a 1-day course. So we sort of help people learn from the science behind positivity and then how to actually implement the foundations to coaching in their everyday life or career. And recently started something called the Breakfast Club. That is changing.
I was going to say, you got the wrong name there.
To the Bagel Club. Bagel Club. And shall I share what Bagel?
No, you should definitely explain.
Okay, so what Bagel stands for is it's like a little breakdown of a 20-minute morning routine. So I'll share what Bagel means. So the Bagel Club, we have like a 20-minute little routine to do every single morning. It's dead simple. B, breathe. Nice deep breathing. A, affirmations. G, gratitudes. E, exercise. And L, love yourself. And if you can stick to like the little bagel routine in the morning, then you're literally like set up for the day. I know. And it's like, it's a Facebook community group. So we've had some incredible transformations in there. It's been insane. And I'm going to say it's from being able to support and lift each other up. See, instead of looking out on Instagram and comparing how you look to somebody else, it's comparing, well, actually, they've been through this and it's like real life stuff instead. So yeah, we've got that and lots of coaching and traveling and speaking and stuff. So yeah, it's been cool.
No, it's really exciting to see, and I look forward to see your other ventures and everything really
Thank
go
you.
forward.
And you as well.
Yeah, we'll see our paths, and I'm sure we'll achieve our utopias together, I'm sure. But thank you very much, Carol. It was an
Thank
absolute
you very,
pleasure.
very
It was an
much.
absolute
Thank
pleasure.
you.
Thank you very much, Carol. I hope you enjoyed that one. All the description, links, everything to get every one of these bands, all the websites, all the social media will all be down below and in my social media, so you can catch up with Carol through that as well. Thank you very much for tuning for this interview. There'll be another one next Saturday with another industry leader. So be positive, stay focused on what you want to achieve and understand where you are, understand where you want to go. Thank you very much, guys. Please do subscribe to my channel where you are now at Scott Mears. My Twitter at @ScottMears_, my Facebook and Instagram at @ScottMears Entrepreneur. Thank you very much, guys. See you then.
Boom.
That's cool.
My guy pretty like a girl, and he got 5 stories to tell. I see both sides like